Hi, I'm Dr. Jarek Conrad. Welcome to Healthy and Black, where I share information about the state of health for Black America across 7 categories, from emotional health to physical health. I became plant-based over 15 years ago after losing so many of my family members to chronic health issues. Now I want to help you take control of your health. Welcome to Healthy and Black. This is episode number 2. Number 2. So that means this thing is real. We're actually going now. I'm ready to build some momentum. I'm just excited about this. Got a lot to talk about today. I thought today we would spend some time focusing on some of the basics. Just asking some basic questions. I want to start with nutrition. This part, nutrition is very important to me. I got 7 dimensions of health, but this one is really important. And I get a lot of questions about this one because of the plant-based thing. So again, it's been about 15 years. So, over the course of all these years, I've gotten a lot of questions that I thought were very, very basic kind of questions that maybe everybody should know it. But the reality is I didn't know it either when I first started. So we'll talk about some of these basic questions. I want to talk about the human body, how remarkable the human body is and how it is trying to save us from ourselves. And we just keep trying to beat it up. So we'll talk about that. And I have some really basic questions. What is food? Why do we eat? Just basic questions. And I want to focus on this tagline that I use. Don't let culture, cost, or convenience ruin your health. I want to go through each one of those C's and talk about, what they mean and, what some common traps are that people fall into as it relates to each one of those categories. So let's start by talking about the human body. Again, this is a just incredible machine, just a terrific system that we have here. And our bodies are, again, they're trying to protect us from ourselves. We're out, we're doing something, we twist an ankle, our ankle swells up. Why? Because our body is like, don't do that again. Like, sit down, because if you keep doing that, this is going to get hurt worse. So it's a very visible, very painful sign that, look, you need to sit down. All the white blood cells are rushing there to try and take care of the issue. It's a warning signal. It's just swollen because it's injured, and we don't want you to injure it further. Think about something as simple as our noses and the nose hair in our noses that are, blocking some of the pollutants, the dust, the stuff that our bodies, the bodies are trying to protect ourselves from, taking this stuff in. So we have this remarkable system. It's trying to balance everything out. It's looking for homeostasis. It's trying to keep everything balanced and running. And there's a system for it to repair itself. It's called sleep. We're supposed to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep so that our bodies can do what they are designed to do for ourselves, to repair themselves, for, we've been beat up, for our bodies to just, kind of restore ourselves, restore our minds and restore our physical bodies so that we're ready for the next day and beyond. We're trying to live. It wants to sustain itself. And so it's trying to fix whatever damage we may have done, or it's trying to take in the nutrients and the exercise, all the positive things that we've done. It's trying to take all that stuff in while we sleep. Fascinating system. It's interesting, this sleep thing. I need to have at least one episode focused completely and just totally on sleep, because it's fascinating. Because a lot of people will tell you, oh man, I don't need 7 to 9 hours. I'm cool, man. I ran 4 or 5 hours. I'm straight. That's all I need. That ain't all you need. You might feel okay, partly because you've been feeling bad for so long, you don't know what feeling good is, But the other thing is, even if you feel all right, Your body has got to go through those processes, right? It's got to go through the healing process. And there are various stages of sleep that we go through, and each one is designed to do something. And, if we disrupt that process, we cut that process short, we don't get all the benefits of sleep. We don't get to the level, to the layer to the stage of sleep that we need to be in for our bodies to do what it wants to do. So I don't want to name no names, but, certain relative of mine knows who I'm talking about. We had this debate about having caffeine before you go to sleep. Oh, I have caffeine. I go right to sleep. I wake up, I'm good. If your body is not going through the process, you think you were laying there with your eyes closed. You might have been snoring, but you're not going through the stages that you need to go through for your body to do what it needs to do, because that caffeine, it takes a while to get out of your system. Now, I'm not a caffeine person. Good news is I never got into coffee. But for people who are caffeine folks, you're not supposed to have caffeine after about 2 or 3 o'clock, because otherwise it starts to disrupt your sleep. And there's a whole nother story about me and like, I don't want to need anything. Like, I don't want to have something. Whenever I hear people say, "Oh, I gotta have my coffee to start my day," or "I can't do anything without my," I think, man, that's so sad. Like, I don't want to have to need something besides nutrition, nutrients. I don't want to have to need something for me to just operate on a day-to-day basis. I don't want that. So I'll get a little caffeine if I drink some tea or something like that. But I'm actually pretty sensitive to caffeine because I don't drink it. Now, when I was younger, I used to drink sodas and all that stuff, but man, I haven't had a soda in, man, I don't know how many years it's been, right? It's been well over a decade. So let's get back to the sleep thing. And so we need to make sure that we set aside that time for this system that is designed to regenerate itself, for it to do what it's supposed to do. So what do we need for this system to get going and carry out its daily activities and sustain life? We need nutrients. We need nutrients, vitamins, minerals, protein, carbohydrates, fats. We need nutrients. I want you to think about this. I asked this question: what is food? The food, then, is the thing that provides the nutrients for our bodies to do what they're supposed to do. So if it's not nutritious, if it doesn't have vitamins and minerals and carbs, blah, blah, if it doesn't have nutrients, then it's not food. So some of the things that we're calling food, technically, it is not food. We're consuming things that just empty calories that are not part of the process our body uses to fuel itself, to regenerate itself, when we're trying to have our sleep, right? We need nutrients. So if it was created in a laboratory, if it's a product, then it's not food. If it doesn't have nutrition, it's not food. The most important decision that we can make on a day-to-day basis is what we put in our bodies, because our bodies need that nutrition for us to be able to move, to think, to live, to do the things that we need for it to do. And so it's got to be nutrition. So many of us have to rethink our definition of food. How much of what you're consuming is really food versus something else, a product that's taking up empty calories. Now, again, you introduce this product into our system. I know what to do. The body knows what to do with a vitamin, with a specific vitamin. This is what we need this vitamin for. This is what we need this mineral for. It don't know what to do with some of the things that we eat that ain't food. It don't know what to do with that. And so that's part of the source of some of the inflammation that we have in our bodies. It don't know how to process this stuff, right? It's just a warning signal, like something is wrong and we're just not listening. So that's food. And again, why do we eat? We eat to live. We don't live to eat. You all have heard that before, right? We eat so that we can continue to move on, to sustain life, for our bodies to do what we need our bodies to do. That is why we eat. If that is why we eat, then we have to eat the things that are designed to do that. If we're eating things that are not designed to do that, it's not food. And let's talk now about the animal products. Now we'll have many, many more conversations about this, but again, I've been plant-based 15 years, no animal products. Um, Now, so you got to ask yourself, are animal products food? Think about animals or animal products the way you think about medicine. So there are some vitamins and nutrients that you can get from animal products, but also you get the other stuff, the stuff that might have some side effects. And so just like in the commercial about the drug, when everybody's running and playing and they're throwing things and they're swimming and they're looking like they're the happiest they ever been because they got this drug that's finally curing this thing that's aiding them. The reality, the drug is masking the thing that has been ailing them. It's not curing it. You still got the underlying issue unless you get to the source. Um, but all these commercials, at the end of the commercial, it'll have this product may cause vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, blindness, sexual dysfunction, death. But they say it really fast. This product may cause blindness, because they didn't want you to listen to that stuff. They want you to watch the person throwing the ball and just having just a great time. Again, our body is a system. You treat one part of the system, but you're introducing something that the body is trying to figure out what to deal with, right? You are, manipulating one aspect of the body. You can't do that without having some effect on other aspects of the body. Same thing with animal products. You're getting some nutrients that you need, but you got other stuff like animal fats and other kind of products that are causing issues, wreaking havoc other places. So just like I say, if many medicines are derived from plants, how about eating the plants in the first place? Like skip the middle person, eat the plants? Well, it's the same thing with the animal. So uh, so you'll hear commercials about this animal was grass fed. This animal is plant based, because that's the best. If it's the best diet for the animal, is the best diet for you. Skip the middle person or the middle thing in this situation. That's the animal. Skip the animal. Eat the plants that's sustaining the life of the animals. And then you have the good stuff without having the bad stuff. The reality is today, we eat animals not because we have to, but we eat animals because we want to. Because again, you can get all the nutrition you need from a plant-based diet without having the side effects that you get from animal products. So we're choosing to do that. Now, there's a whole conversation about hunting and all this stuff, and we'll talk about that. But the reality is, we, you know, people want to bring up in the Paleolithic time or whatever the age is. People ate animals. The truth is, people didn't eat all that much. They were starving. They found something that moved. They killed it. They ate it because they're trying to live. And most of them didn't live past 20-something years old. And so I don't think I'm going to model my life off of some humans that only lived to 20-something years old because they lived in such harsh conditions that they just had to do what they needed to do for survival. And they weren't eating seared, lamb chops and this and that. They eating cockroaches, bug, whatever, rats, whatever they could find, they were eating. And so, hey, if you want to go caveman route, why don't you really go caveman route? Eat the stuff that they were eating, not some, meat that was shipped to you from, some exclusive farm in Montana or something, right? Eat the stuff that we know that science says provides the most nutrition for us. because that is technically food. That is the stuff that we need to sustain life. We don't have to choose to eat animals. Now, there are other reasons for this, right? There are animal rights reasons for it. There are environmental reasons for it. And we'll talk about all of this stuff a little bit later. But it's important that we understand the basics, right? Why do we eat? What is food? Now, I also want to spend some time talking about this tagline that I use, right? Don't let culture, cost, or convenience ruin your health. Let's talk about culture. Man, culture is a wonderful thing. Wonderful thing. Now, all of us are part of many cultural groups at any given time, right? We got all these groups, whether it's a racial group like, African Americans or Black culture, whether it's a gender thing, whether it is, your profession. I was an HR person for, 20 something years. So, that's a culture in that profession. So we're all part of many of these groups. And depending on what the situation is, whatever, that one of those groups rises to like to be the most relevant at the time, depending on what the subject is. But let's talk about something like race, given that this show is healthy and Black. Now, I think it's important that we sit down and we think through, okay, what are all the things that are associated with our culture? What's the stuff that we do more than other people? What's the stuff that we enjoy? The stuff that is, it's kind of our thing, right? I think it's really important to look at, okay, what has served us well and what has not served us so well? What is healthy for us? What is good for us? What is not so healthy? What is not so good for us? And so think about how we eat. The way Black people eat is based on how we ate really back when we were slaves. And we would still eat the same way, right? We took the scraps that were left over and our ancestors did magic with those. I mean, they put stuff together from the parts of the animal that nobody else wanted, right? So they put that together and it sustained life. And that's what they needed to do. I don't fault them for that. That's what you have to do, in the situation that you're in. You got to do what you have to do. But there's no reason for us to still eat scraps if we don't have to. If we know that those scraps are causing long-term health issues for us, we still eating this stuff trying to prove that we Black because we eat soul food, right? We eat this comfort food. Look, can't nobody take my Black card because I'm not eating no chitlins. I ain't eating no neck bones. I ain't eating no ham hocks. I don't want them. The reality is I didn't want them even when I was little, when I wasn't plant-based. But that is not defining who I am. There are many other aspects of quote unquote our culture that I experience and I love. Look, I to travel somewhere and I go to somebody's party or something and people are sitting down and look, let's play Bid Whist. Now, I guess it's supposed to be Bid Whist, but we call it Bid Whist. Let's play Bid Whist. And I'm sitting down and I'm going to play and I'm going to talk noise as though I've been knowing these people forever. You fit right in. You're speaking the same language. That's the magic of culture. It's a human connection that is familiar, that is comfortable, that you feel included. I get that. And that's really, really important. But not at the detriment to my health. I'm not trading my health for that. So when I go and I sit down at that card table, I don't care if people are smoking Newports. Or I don't care if people are eating stuff that I'm not going to eat. I don't have to do that to try to fit in with them. Nobody can take my Black card away because I don't do those things. So this is true for many cultures, many groups of people. When you go back and you look at some of their most traditional things, they may not be the most healthy things because people back then didn't have the information they have now. So it's time for us to make some modifications. Look, our great-great-great-grandmother is not going to be hurt because we make some modifications. They're going to be rolling over in their grave because we're making some healthy modifications so that we can sustain our families, our kids, their kids. We can still keep that memory alive. without hurting ourselves. So that's part of the culture piece. The other part of the culture piece is, culture is food is so tied to ceremonies. Culture, the ceremony is a part of culture. And food is so tied to, if we're mourning, we eat. We'll go to a funeral. After the funeral, the family gets together, everybody's eating, and we're sitting around. We eating the same stuff that put the person in the grave in the first place. That doesn't make sense to me. Why can't we have healthy foods, or at least healthier foods at these gatherings? And why does the food have to be the centerpiece of everything? Oh, I'm going to meet up with some friends. What should we eat? Oh, the holiday is coming up. What should we eat? I got company coming. What should we fix? What should we eat? Why does that have to be the centerpiece? For me, it's got to be about the relationships, the connections, the memories that we're going to make. It ain't about the food. The food is there. That's interesting. But we have to somehow disassociate our ceremonies with food, especially food that's not good for us. Why do we celebrate a great achievement at school, at work, whatever it is, this wonderful achievement? We celebrate it by consuming something that is destroying us. That doesn't sound very celebratory to me. That doesn't make sense. So we have to rethink how we operate. So again, this word culture, I call it the pride and perils of culture. We need to reevaluate what we think this cultural nuance, this cultural, this thing that we prioritize in our culture. How important is it? Is it good for me and my family? Is it bad for me and my family? That's, for me, the deciding factor. Cost. Cost is a factor, especially there's something I call the vegan tax. So you go to a restaurant and you see the dish and you tell them, take out the meat, take out the cheese, take out the so-and-so. You barely got anything left. And they want to charge you the same price for it. That's a vegan tax. Man, you spent 50 cents to make this and you charging me $20 for it. We got to rethink this. That's why I try to cook at home as much as I can. But beyond that, the reality is, just like when you are a meat eater, you choose the things that you buy, right? You can buy rice and beans and vegetables, and it's not that expensive. If you want to go start to buy exotic mushrooms and these rare kind of things that only grow during certain seasons in a certain part of the world, you can spend a lot of money. But the same thing as a meat eater. You can get a filet, or you can get, some, I don't remember what the cheaper chops are. I hadn't had meat in so long, right? But you have a range that you can get, right? You can get top shelf stuff, or you can get regular stuff. On the plant-based side, you can get top shelf stuff, or you can get regular stuff. The truth is, in many poor countries, most people are vegetarians or vegans. Meat is expensive. It's hard to get to. And so many people in many countries, not by choice, are plant-based. And they have different disease pattern than us too. They don't have the high incidence of these Western diseases that we have. We'll talk about that. Look, what I try to bring a lot of data and facts and percentages and new studies, and that's what I'll do throughout the course of the podcast. Today, I just want to lay some theoretical framework, right? Some conceptual issues for you to ponder as we go through this process. So cost. Now, the food deserts, we talk about food deserts, and if you haven't heard that term, it's a place where you just don't have access to fresh produce, healthy food in a certain radius, right? And I grew up in what was, I guess, called the food desert. The reality, though, is, if I'm being honest, when we finally got to the grocery store, we weren't running for the produce section. We weren't buying the asparagus and the zucchini, and we weren't getting that stuff, right? We were getting canned stuff and packaged stuff and all that. So, and look, when companies put a healthy food option in a neighborhood, if we don't buy the food, they go out of business. It's a business, right? If we support healthy products, we're more likely to have access to healthy products. So while the food desert argument is real, it's getting better in America, but it's real to some extent because even when they have healthy foods, it's oftentimes very overpriced in these little small convenience stores and all that. But the reality is, it's not always our first option if we're honest with ourselves. So we gotta be honest. Convenience is the other part. We want everything convenient. We want it quick. We want it fast. We gotta rethink this term convenience because it ain't that convenient when you laying up sick because you can't do anything. It ain't that convenient when you've gained so much weight that you can't be active. You can't do things with your family. You can't do the things that you used to love to do because it's just too hard on you to do it. That ain't very convenient. Not very convenient when now you have diabetes and you got to go, a couple times a week to get, treatment, dialysis. That's not convenient, right? And so we got to have a long-term view of convenience. You pay now or pay later, right? If you don't make sacrifices now, if you don't make the right decisions now, if you don't avoid what seems easy now, you're going to pay later. So invest in yourself now versus going through those long-term issues. I've already told you all the story about my family, me being the only person now, mother, father, sisters, brother, all gone. It's a tragic, situation. But again, it's not convenient that I got to go, when I go to the city on business, I got to drive a little further to get to a plant-based restaurant. It's not that convenient in the short term, but in the long term, I'm betting on that convenience, that I can do the things that I want to do. So don't let culture, cost, or convenience stop you from giving your body the nourishment that it needs, the nutrition that it needs to do what it needs to do. I mean, it's a fascinating thing. I get all these questions. Well, what about your protein? You're not getting enough protein. I tried plant-based, but I didn't have no energy. I didn't have enough protein. You get most of your energy from carbs. And people have made these carbs out to be the carbs are terrible. All carbs aren't created equally. You got to think about this. Vegetables, a plant-based diet is high in carbs, but they're complex carbs. They break down differently in your body. They don't spike up your blood sugar for people who are diabetic. They're complex. It's a different process that it goes through. So it's not all carbs that are bad for you. It's processed stuff, processed carbs. Again, that technically is not food that's bad for you. So really think through this stuff. And I know you've heard this. I know you've probably thought about this before. The largest animals in the world eat plants. Hippos, elephants, gorillas, horses, the largest animals in the world, they're not looking for protein from an animal source, right? They're eating plants. Our bodies can't process most of us have way too much protein. We get way too much protein. Our bodies can't even process it. And again, body don't know what to do with it. It wreaks havoc. You get it's inflammation everywhere, and it causes a lot of problems. So we got to be smart. Let our bodies do what they're designed to do. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Don't present challenges. Introduce problems. Introduce new puzzles for our bodies to have to try and solve. How do I break this down? How do I possibly pull some nutrients and get some energy from this? I don't know what to do. I don't even recognize what this is because it's not a source of food. Give the body what it needs. Get the rest that you need. Get the physical exercise that you need, and watch your body do the rest. It knows what to do. We just have to step out of the way. So I hope that lays a foundation. I know I'm preaching at you a little bit, but I hope that lays a foundation for how we're going to approach Healthy and Black. These are the kind of topics that we'll talk about. Again, I'll have specific statistics when I'm talking about an area. We usually will hone in on one area and really get at it, what the science of it is. I try to break that science down into something very practical. It's not about me proving to you, I can explain this technical. It's not about that. It is about this stuff really is not that hard. Now, there are a lot of people that are invested in making it hard, making it very complex, because they want you to give up and they want you to take the easiest route. Go ahead and eat the fast food. It's quick, it's easy, it's sometimes cheaper. So go ahead and take that route. Don't even think about it, because they want to make money from you. So let's figure out how we can start to be more mindful and think about this stuff, including, asking these basic questions. What does the human body do? Why does it need food? What is food? All right. Great to see you. I hope that you enjoy seeing the show, listening to the show. You know the spiel. Tell all your friends about it so they can subscribe. We get those likes so that we can build some momentum. Take care. Look forward to making episode 3, but you know it. Until then, don't let culture, cost, or convenience ruin your health. Take care. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Healthy and Black. I'm your host, Dr. Jarek Conrad. If you have feedback on today's episode, please email info@jarekconrad.com. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to visit jarekconrad.com to subscribe to my blog. Thanks for listening. Please tell your friends about the podcast. Until next time, don't let culture, cost, or convenience ruin your health.